Welcome to the Paid in Full Almost podcast. I'm your host, Taylor, and thank you guys for coming back to another episode. Today, we have not only my family, but a phenomenal guest, Quintaya. Let the people know what's up.
Hey guys. My name is Quintaya Forchion. I am a current student at Clark Atlanta University, where I am studying business administration with a concentration in marketing. I'm getting my MBA, y'all.
Period. My sister went back and got her second degree. Okay.
Second. Yes.
How would you describe college? Like your first year compared to going back again? Like, what would you say college is like for you?
So college right now is a blast. It's my second go around, and my first time is like, it's your first experience, so you don't really know what to expect, but your second time around, you know what to do, you know what not to do. So it's like, I'm having the time of my life, honestly.
But that is amazing. So from your first go around, what did you expect college to be, and like, what did it actually give?
So my first go around, I went to University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. Mm-hmm. Let me let you know now, that was not my first choice. Home was 40 minutes away, and UMass was not my first choice. Now, I love my HBCU. I love that I went there. It's just that it wasn't my first choice. My first choice was Clark Atlanta University.
And that's where you are now.
And that's where I am now. So the story behind that real quick was, I was in the Upward Bound program all throughout high school. I already knew what UMass was like. So I had already had kind of like a foot in the door. I knew what to expect. My second go around, I already knew where I was going to go because I didn't go there the first time. My mother told me I was going to UMass because Atlanta was always going to be there. So I already knew that my first go around, all right, I'm going to go to UMass. But my second time, I'm going to Clark.
Period.
And that's where I went. So the first time I knew what to expect, but I didn't know I was going there, but it all turned out great.
Then, that's good. Your mom, listen, she was playing. She said,
not at all.
Going where I say.
Yes.
So
mother knows best.
Right. That is true. Is there anything though, being that you're experiencing college twice, is there anything that maybe the first go around and maybe you're learning the second go around, is there anything that you wish college would have taught you or something they would have explored more?
Absolutely. So my first go around, I feel like they should have told me about financial aid. First off, they should have told me about financial aid, and this is why, because they want their money up front. And I didn't know that they wanted it, automatically. So sometimes if you don't have your ducks in a row and you're not on it, then that can set you behind for the rest of the semester, and you stressing about stuff that you shouldn't be stressing about. So I feel like if I knew more about financial aid and like, this is what you need to do, you need to make sure you're on top of things, I feel like I would have been better prepared, even though I did finish my education. Some people, however, they don't finish their education because of that, and that's a little stressful. So I just wish knew more about that. And I also wish that they told me about jobs after college. Like, I wish that they really showed me what I needed to do to get a job. I feel like, and I still feel like it's like this now, but not as bad. I feel maybe it's just the schools that you go to and whatnot. But at UMass, I feel like I was just taking a class and then getting my degree. I wasn't really preparing myself for after graduation. Like I took the classes, I got my degree in fashion merchandising, but mind you, on the Lower Eastern Shore or in Maryland itself, I don't really see any fashion merchandising jobs. So I just wish they prepared me more for that. I wish I knew that. But it's
girl, we must have went to the same school, even though we didn't, because I feel the same way. I feel the same way. I feel like, I wish I knew more about, what financial commitment I was putting myself into at 18, 19. And then
right.
it don't really click until you're 4 years later and you're like,
right.
Oh, okay. This is what I'm
stuck with this bill.
That's what I'm saying. And then right. I do wish, I was feeling the same way. I was like, my career center, they helped me look for jobs. I reached out to them and they were very helpful, but still I feel like it was really no, like, I don't really know what to do. Like, this transition is new
What's
to
next?
me.
Right.
Somebody help. So I definitely agree. I do wish that they would take the time, because they take the time to put you in all these other classes. And I'm
Exactly.
not going to mention the classes that I think pointless, but they don't take
Pointless.
the time to like really educate you and prepare you for, life after this, which I feel like they're supposed to do, because this is college, right?
Right.
I
Right.
just don't understand. So graduating from high school, was college automatically like what you wanted to do after, or did you have like another plan? Like, was college always your choice, or did you want to go into like a trade school or cosmetology? Because I know you do hair on the side. So is there like, was that an option, or did college like outweigh?
College really outweighed all of my options, and this is why. So growing up, I always looked up to my brother as my role model. So he went to college. I wanted to go to college. Whatever he did, I wanted to do. And in high school, I was in the Upward Bound program. So Upward Bound, they tell you it prepares you for post-secondary education. So I, in my mind, was already going to go to college because at Upward Bound, I was going to college tours. I participated in a leadership summit in DC. So my mindset was already into going to college. My senior year, I was talking to Dr. Gail, the director of Upward Bound, and she was telling me to apply to all these scholarships, as well as my guidance counselor at high school. So these people are all telling me, this is what you should do. You should go to college. You should apply to all this funding, this free money. So that's what I thought I wanted to do, because at that time, really as a high school graduate, the only thing I could see me doing, or any other high school graduate at the time, is either going to college, going into the military, or working a mediocre job, and there's nothing wrong with like working at McDonald's if that's what you want to do. But in my mind, I wanted to make money. So it was either the military or college, and I wasn't going to the military, so it was college, baby. It was college. It was college.
Well, yeah, that's good to know. Because I feel like that's the same. Even though you graduated way before me, I feel like I graduated in 2017, and I feel like, to me, from my knowledge, I mean, our community is very small where we grew up in. So the only other option, if it wasn't college, it was either some sort of trade or it was the military. I feel like there wasn't no other options.
Right.
I mean, yeah, looking back at it now, it probably, like, if I wanted to do other things, I could have, but it's just the knowledge was not there. So I was like, I don't know. Have a brand called Lash. Okay. So when did you start your brand, and walk us through why you wanted to start a clothing brand?
So I started my brand in 2019, a year before COVID, and a year after I graduated. I graduated college in 2018, I'm sorry. 2018, I graduated with my bachelor's degree in fashion merchandising. And then a year after, I decided to start my brand. So real quick, I graduated with fashion merchandising, but I didn't have a job in fashion merchandising when I graduated. So I went into retail. I was working at J. Crew at the time, and then I quit J. Crew, and I love J. Crew. I would go back to that store. It's just, I don't like working for people. I've always had side hustles, whether it was braiding hair or doing any little cricket crafts or anything I can do to make money. I'm all for side hustles. So I was doing that at the time. I don't like working for people. So I was working at J. Crew, and I felt like I was wasting time. I love fashion. I love working in retail, but it was just like, I feel like I'm missing something. I would go to work, come home, there was nothing else to do. I had all the spare time on my hands. And eventually I stopped wanting to do hair because my fingers were starting to cramp up. I didn't really have the drive and passion to keep going and learning styles and working in the salon. I didn't want to do that. So I just stopped. So I had the idea to do a brand, to come up with a brand, a clothing brand specifically, because I like working in fashion. So I said, all right, I'm gonna create a brand. And then I do also remember in college, my senior year, our professor was like, so nobody wants to start a clothing brand, or nobody wants to start their own business. And I just thought about it. I was like, no, at the time I wanted to be a buyer for some company like Nordstrom's or Macy's or somebody. I wanted to be a buyer. And I was like thinking about it. in 2019, after I graduated, I was like, man, my professor asked me, nobody wants to start a brand. So I was like, all right, let's go for it. Why not? I want to, do this at home. I want to work with clothes. I can sell t-shirts. Let's sell t-shirts. So I just thought about doing that. And it just took off from there. It just started with an idea, a plan, who I wanted to target, what I wanted to sell, how much was I going to sell it for. I decided you can't figure out your costs until you buy the merchandise. So I had to buy the merchandise first, figure out my costs, and then price out my items, and then go from there. And then the second part to your question was, did I answer it?
I think, yeah, like what made you want to, you did. I was like, why did you start, and what made you want to start a clothing brand? Walk us through like being a business owner. Are there things that you wish you would have knew before getting into business? So like, what is that process like?
So starting a business, honestly, is kind of easy now in 2021. Everything is on YouTube. That's how I learned to start my business. I took some of the knowledge that I had previously from the classes that I took in undergrad, but it's honestly being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is it's built in you. If you don't have it in you, then you're not going to succeed, because it's things that come off as second nature to me that I didn't have to look up. But honestly, the process really is just getting your EIN number, getting your sales and tax registration form completed, and paying taxes. And that's about it. That's about it. Everything else you can look up on YouTube. But besides those three things, those I think were things that I had to learn on my own. And I really wish I knew about paying taxes, because after the first 3 months, if you do not pay your taxes as a registered business, you would pay like 10% penalty or something like that. And I don't got time to be paying extra money. So
no.
I wish I knew about taxes.
No. So that was, did you go to like a professional, like a credit professional, to get your paperwork, or did you just like figure that process out on your own?
I figured it out on my own. I looked at the little bit that I could find on YouTube. I researched that, but everything else I figured out on my own.
You did? Oh, my girl is into the book. She researching. She said, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. Okay. Yeah. So what is the estimate? Because you sell t-shirts, and then I know like I don't know if you still do it, but you have some like vendor pieces. So like what ideally is the startup cost for, like if someone wanted to start their own business or a t-shirt brand of that nature, what is the estimate startup cost that they would have to prepare themselves to, face?
That's a really good question. And it varies. So my startup cost was about $800 to $1,000 starting up. I didn't have to start at the price. I could have started lower, but that was my cost because of, what is it called? Registering your business is like $150.
I
have a sewing machine that's like $100, and then product and inventory and the website that I pay for, which is Shopify. I had Squarespace at first, $30 a month. So those things you have to take into consideration, and the things that you need to start out your business, whether you're selling a product or a service, it varies. And with my inventory and how much I paid for what I wanted to start with, I wanted to hit the ground running. So I brought more than enough in inventory, and I sat on inventory for a little bit, but I knew I was going to eventually sell it. So anybody can start out with 500 or less. Honestly, it's just depending on what you're going to sell, what you're going to do, and what you need to do it. But.
Okay, got you. And then when it comes to when you were looking for merchandise, like for vendors to sell with your brand, was that process easy or difficult? Like, how did you navigate your way through finding the right vendor? Because I know that can be difficult, and especially a vendor with good quality. So absolutely. Can you walk us through that process as well?
Absolutely. And I can tell you now, my process with vendors, as with anybody's, I'm sure, unless you purchase a vendor list off of YouTube from somebody, it's going to be difficult because it's trial and error. And I've had my times where it's been trial and error, but it's kind of like no going back at that point, because some vendors don't allow you to ship the merchandise back. You're kind of stuck with it. So sampling is very important, and especially with overseas vendors. US vendors are a little more lenient, but overseas vendors, you got to be real careful, and you should sample first. Now, listen, I don't have time to do none of that. Being honest, I might have sampled from one vendor, but the other vendor, I haven't done it. I just buy the merchandise and just cross my fingers and hope it's going to be good quality off of the reviews and the conversations that I have with the vendor. But that doesn't always work. You gotta, when talking to overseas vendors, you gotta know what you want, and you gotta tell them what you want, especially with sizing. But it's very good to sample. Like, I would tell anybody to sample, but I don't have time for that.
So the takeaway here is, guys, make sure you sample before you do any purchase, like legit purchase for them. Because once you get that inventory, they said, we don't want that back. You paid for it. Here it is. That's yours.
Yes, and you have to pay for shipping overseas, and that's like $100.
Oh yeah, no, you definitely got to sample now.
You got to sample, y'all. You got to.
Because all that will add up, and you'd be like, absolutely. Oh my God, what?
Absolutely.
Now that you're going to get your master's, like, what is making you get your master's? Like, walk us through why you decided, after you've graduated and you've been out of school for a while now, why are you going to go get your master's, and why this particular field?
So again, in undergrad, my mother told me Atlanta was always going to be there. Mind you, Clark Atlanta University was my first and only option, the first go around. So when my mom said I was going to UMS, I was like, all right, we'll take this. All right, mama. But I promise you, I'm going to graduate from Clark Atlanta University. So it is about my education. It is, but it was all about being in Atlanta for me. So I was determined that I was definitely going to go back. I didn't know when. I thought I was going to go back immediately after I graduated, but I didn't. It took me 2 years to decide, hey, I think it's time for you to quickly go ahead and get this out the way, and which I did. So I just applied and did my interview, and everything went well, and here I am graduating next semester. Period.
And so your degree is in digital marketing?
No, it's just marketing.
Marketing tie into the degree, your merchandising degree. Like, do you feel like they're intertwined? Has this, going back to getting your master's degree in marketing, do you feel like that's helpful, or?
I've had that question before, how it's going to tie together, and it doesn't necessarily tie together, but it all works together, if it makes sense. I feel like it's just another tool underneath my belt. I feel like they are two separate things, but I want to pursue a career in fashion. So whenever I apply to, let's just say, Carter's here in Atlanta in their corporate office, I have two things under my belt. So if I decide I want to go into their fashion merchandising center or whatever, I can go that way. Or if I want to do brand marketing or product marketing, I can decide to do that. So I think it just gives me two different things underneath my belt. And for people that are doing two separate things, they do one thing for undergrad, do something else for masters, it honestly doesn't matter. They just want you to have an MBA, or they want you to have a second degree. They want you to have more than your bachelor's. They don't look at specifically what field you're in. So honestly, that doesn't even matter sometimes. Don't even
as long as you're there. It don't even matter. It don't even matter. So do you find this go around, like, are you more like in tune with the financial process compared to your first time? Since the master's, I know it does cost more. So like, is it more are you more like in like, okay, this is what I need, this is what I need to do?
Absolutely. So being 18 and going to school for my undergrad degree and not knowing what to do, because I literally didn't have anybody to tell me. I could ask my brother, but I'm so independent. That's I didn't. I wanted to figure it out on my own. So I didn't ask anybody. I just figured out the process, for myself. And it was hard because you don't know, like, all right, this is what you gotta do for financial aid. Nobody tells you that part. I promise you, nobody tells you that part. As much as high school is supposed to prepare you for the real world, they don't. As well as college to a certain extent. College will not get you the job. You have to go find the job. But out of all this money we pay, I wish they did. So I do feel like I am in tune to the financial process this go around than the first time around, because I learned what I needed to do the first time to figure out to get me to where I am this time. So this time it was kind of like a breeze. I just had to keep my ducks in a row and make sure I was on time with the scheduled dates and getting the deadlines for everything in. Yeah, it was easier this time.
Easier? Did you find like, random question, did you find it like hard to get back into being a student since you've been out of college for so long? You were like, like, did you feel like a drag, or you were like, okay, I can do this?
No, actually, I'm a very like studious person. I like school. I do. I like the work. I like submitting assignments on time. It keeps me in check, like with life all around. So I felt like, all right, we got this, no problem. Like it was 2 years that I was out of school, but it honestly felt like I took a winter break or a summer break and I just hopped back into it.
Okay, well that's good, because some people can be like, and then some people could be like, because I know some people are like, oh, you should go get your master's like straight out, so you just continue that process. And some people were like, you should take a break and then go to it. So I just wanted to ask you that question because I wasn't for sure, because some people have mixed reviews and opinions.
Yeah.
I would say one of the questions I want to ask is, where has college, before I ask you that one, do you feel like being in Clark, Atlanta, being at Clark in Atlanta, do you feel as though this is helping grow your brand? Are you getting more exposure? Like, how are you using college to your advantage to expose your brand?
That is a very good question. And this is why. So I came to Clark, Atlanta. I already knew I was going to come to Clark, Atlanta, but I came into Clark, Atlanta this semester because last year was online. I knew I was going to be in person this semester. I came to Clark expecting for what they call Market Thursday, which is like every Thursday, Clark, Atlanta allows students and other vendors to set up and sell their merchandise. I came here expecting that was going to happen, but it didn't because of COVID and everything. So I'm really disappointed about that because I'm not working but I feel like that would have been extra income. So they messing with my money.
Right.
but it's okay. But yes, Atlanta itself is a very good opportunity for people to make money with having a small business. Even though Market Thursday isn't happening on campus, I've had the opportunity to participate in a lot of vending opportunities here in the city. Everything is like 15 minutes away because I'm in the heart of Atlanta, which is perfect. And they also have something at Atlantic Station that I'm looking into participate in, which is like a Market Thursday, but it's for the community at Atlantic Station. So they always have something. So if it's not on campus, it's in the city. So it's perfect for the exposure of my brand because I can market to new people. I'm introducing my brand to people that have never heard about it before. And it's just like spreading my message throughout the world. Yes, so I love it.
That's exciting. That's good to have. I feel like college is a good place to expose your brand, especially if you have things like Market Thursday. And like just everybody's new and everybody's trying to get to know one another. So it's a good place to just network and tell people about your brand. So I feel like it's a great experience. I just wanted to know like your take and how you're doing it. One of my final questions, well, almost my final question, I would ask, where would you see your business and where do you want to see your business in 5 years? Like what does that look like?
In 5 years, well, I'm looking to like revamp my business or rebrand my business. Keep the same name and everything and the same message, but just rebrand, come out again. And that is because everything has been trial and error so far. And now I feel like I'm getting to a point where I understand my brand. I understand what sells, what sizes sell, what designs sell. So I just kind of want to like start over in the next year in a way. So sell all the merchandise that I have now and then bring back what sold. And about 5 years from now, hopefully I'll have a warehouse here in Atlanta, here in Georgia, fingers crossed, where I can have employees, somebody to help me in the marketing department, sales, digital marketing, all that, like production. I just need help doing it because I'm doing everything by myself. And as a small business owner, as many would agree, that's what you have to do. You have to do everything yourself starting out. In 5 years, hopefully I have a team.
Yes, that is definitely, a team is always necessary. Teams help grow businesses and grow your brand because it's like more people helping you. You should look into I know some people do like virtual assistants. I don't know if that's like a thing. I mean, I don't think you have to pay them as much, but like virtual assistants, I like a lot of small businesses or some people like use just to help, just like because they can do like basically anything, especially like computer wise or like reaching out to brands and stuff, like vendors, like they could really help, and it'll be like something less off your plate. So I would look into that. Last question kinda is like, do you have student loans?
Absolutely.
Majority of us do. So would you say, because I guess you can apply this to both of them, would you say college is worth paying in full? Well, almost. So it's the money that you're paying for your degree. Do you feel like it's worth it? Is college worth what you're paying, or do you feel like it's a waste of time?
That's a good question. I honestly feel like college is worth it. Education is worth it. Paying for it is the question. And this is why it's still a question that I don't know the answer to yet, because if you get a job after college in your career and everything, and you make it 6 figures, it's worth it, because for the status, it's worth it. But if you graduate and you don't get a job in your field, what's the degree for? Why am I paying? You know what I mean? So I feel like that's a question that can't be answered yet until I get the job, making $125K a year, period.
And that is the real question that everybody trying to figure out. Like, everybody trying to figure out, because I'm trying to figure it out. So I know everybody trying to figure that one out, because that is the question to be determined. So you say you're like, we'll see. The question is to be determined. It's what you would say.
To be determined. Education is worth it. Paying for it, to be determined.
That's the question. We should have free college education.
Right. Should we? I think so.
I think we should.
We should.
Well, thank you, Quintaya, for coming on and being my special guest this episode. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye, y'all.